Hey, anybody that's, bored enough to watch some weather, here we are, looking at some pretty serious storms headed through the southeast. It's a, you know, pretty warm day out today. Warmed up the atmosphere a good bit on the low level here, and that's kind of popping off tonight. Luckily, it's happening early enough where it's not going to be like these midnight storms like we had months ago. So hopefully it'll just be something a little more reasonable than that. As of right now, there has only been Doppler radar confirmed tornadoes, which is what those red boxes indicate for anybody that's a little bit new to wet radar interpretation. Let's see if we can get some numerical information. I've got a lot of tabs up here. There's a lot of info coming in all over the place, and I'm trying to put it all together right now. I didn't want to wait too long and miss anything because it's kicking off right now. The primary area of focus is what looks like to be in the upstate of South Carolina, like it looks like Greenville, Spartanburg. I think that's Gaston County there. And I'm gonna see if I can pull some uh, webcams, and if there's something popping off, we can take a look at it, and that might be kind of cool. Might get to see some. Every now and then, you can see something cool. All right, so I'm gonna pull up the T diagrams here from the sounding today. Really, the photograph here in the T diagram doesn't look particularly threatening. Well, maybe a little. Let's see. How's the convective inhibition looking? Yeah, there's really not much convective inhibition. There's not loads of CAPE, and those are just weather nerd words for like how much the atmosphere might be spinning. If that makes any sense. And if you give me just 1 second, feel free to pop it in the chat if there's anybody in the area that wants some like more specific information, or if you're just bored and want to talk about it. I'm sending out some live alerts because there are some folks that I know in this area. So I'm gonna pop on the radar loop here so we can have a look at what's ongoing while I send out some mass text real quick. If you give me just a moment. All right, let's see. So no major developments. Let's check out the this is a radar.weather.gov, and if you ever want to just like look at a quick overview of what the weather's like somewhere nearby, it's a pretty good resource. They've got high quality radars. Um, I actually like the pixelated radar view. I think you can kind of get a little bit more information out of it that way. It'll usually loop. However, I'm having issues with the. I think it's like Flash Player that runs it, and it's not working too well for me. So we just have to look at the still image. But that's where it's at right now. So it looks like West Charlotte, North Carolina, is a place of particular concern at the moment, as there's a pretty big storm right there. It looks like a Doppler radar indicated tornado. And then also in Greenville, headed northeast. I would say that's concerning to me as well. Both of those look pretty big. Let me see if I can uh, pull up some different imagery here that might be kind of cool. Take a look at. I'm actually not terribly far away from this area, and the radar has been, or the siren's been going off like crazy. I'm not like anywhere near the danger zone, so it's probably not the most effective siren, but it's going off. All right, let's see here. I'm trying to see if there's like a traffic cam I can get access to somewhere nearby, because there's a lot of times the traffic cams are public access, and they're usually decently lit at night. Oh, what highway goes through there? Highway 85 should be a good one. Let's see, Highway 85 in North Carolina. Traffic cam. Interstate 85. Let's see what we can find. This could be cool. Maybe we can look and see what the actual conditions look like in that area. Oh, dude, yes. Oh, yeah, I've got one dead in the path. So I'm going to pull that up. Let's see, these cameras here look like they're nearby. Let me see if I can actually get them to show me what's going on. Okay, well, does it, can we get like actual, so I guess that's what the camera looks like right now. That's not particularly interesting, but it definitely shows us that it's, coming down out there. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Hmm. Yeah, well, we know it's raining, so that's all we have to learn from those cameras at the moment. This one might be better. It has like a weird pop-up, so I have to go through like a series of steps to actually get it to show me anything, and I can't seem to get it live. I mean, this was taken just moments ago. I don't know if these. Yeah, I don't know how often these update. Give me 1 second. I'm getting once again spammed with text. Everybody knows I'm like the biggest weather nerd in the world, so whenever it starts coming down out, people start messaging me. So I feel pretty obligated to give people information. Let's see here. Okay, so that's not a particularly interesting view. However, let's get back to this and get a refresh on the Greer Spartanburg National Weather Service radar. This is one of the better radar grids, like, well, in the world, honestly, for Doppler radar and weather watching. Okay, so it looks like there's definitely another system developing to the south. I was primarily focused on the one here near Charlotte, but that one, well, it's still pretty strong, but this one looks like it's coming out and doing something. That's actually a little bit more concerning to my immediate location. A little bit, not much, but I do expect the sirens will go off again. And is this updating? Let's find out. I can't tell, so I'm going to give it a refresh. I can't tell if that's exactly up to date or not. It looks pretty close. It looks pretty close for sure. And it actually kind of looks like, even to the south there on this radar, looks like we've got a little bit of action blowing up right there. Maybe there's some development going on kind of near, what is that? It looks like Lancaster. So if there's anybody in this area, especially if you find yourself within any of these red boxes, or even the yellow boxes really, I would be very mindful of finding a safe place to be, because those are at least Doppler radar indicated tornadoes. I don't have any information right now on whether those were spotter indicated or not, because I don't have my my radio on. But usually they'll tell you if it's, that's where you get that information, is on the radio. If it was an actual spotter that saw a tornado, or if it's simply the Doppler radar that indicates it. And look at that. Hey, I see some familiar names in the chat. How's my quality doing? I can't really monitor it right now. I suspect it's not great, because I'm getting like alerts from YouTube that they're telling me that, you know, get it together. Okay, so I'm gonna check out the numerical data for the new place down here that I was looking at. Oh, I've got so many tabs up. Okay, so let's look at the thermodynamics of that area. So maybe we can get a little bit of an idea on what sort of potential there is for, you know, more stuff happening. Yeah, it's still, to me, that doesn't look particularly outrageous. I won't go into what all this stuff means. If it's something that you care about, I've got other videos online about it, and there's a million videos about it. It's just look for like thermodynamic charts and photographs and things like that, and there's plenty of stuff. It's pretty heavy math, but if you're into weather, then and you want to take it to that level, you're gonna want to be pretty heavy into math. Okay, so now I wonder if I'm looking at here is anything close to the current situation. Let's find out. See if the diagram changes. Okay, yeah. That was my fault. That was a noob streamer moment there for a sec. What I did is I looked at a different time. Okay, so now what we have is we actually have some CAPE. If you look at that dotted line, what that dotted line means is that is the expected path, well, temperature that a parcel of air will have as it rises through the atmosphere. What this right here is altitude, and it's the pressure altitude, just for a brief overview. What you have here is the temperature in degrees Celsius. And the dotted yellow line is an imaginary parcel of air, which is from the ground temperature up. You can see that it would be rising until it gets to the point here, which is that red line is the actual temperature at that altitude. So once it gets here, you know, warm air rises. Right now it's, you know, significantly warmer than the air around it. Now it's about the same as the air around it. Then up here it's warmer, so it's going to continue to go up and up and up and up until it gets to this level of altitude, where it'll be the same temperature as what's around it, and that's where it'll stop. And usually up in that part of the atmosphere is where you're going to see things like, you know, whenever you look outside and you see those big white clouds sort of like billowing up and getting really big, and you see lightning and stuff in them. That's what's happening. Is, you know, you've got all sorts of moisture in there. The dew points change as it goes up. It's all quite, it's pretty complicated. I mean, it looks pretty complicated, but the main thing you want to focus on is every bit of that red line that's to the left of that yellow line indicates atmospheric instability. So that little area right there, if you actually do some calculus and pull out that value, what you get is the CAPE, which is this number over here. 2 to 3 to 4 to 500 CAPE is not an absolute load, but it certainly can produce a small tornado. But that's not really that important at the moment, because there are, you know, tornadoes on the ground, so we don't have to worry about predicting them, because here they are. Okay, so okay, wow. So that one definitely is in the range of where I would need to, I'd want to tell some people what's going on. They're getting a little close, to be honest. Okay. what you have here, this is actually the Storm Prediction Center. They do the convective outlook, thunderstorms and tornadoes and such. That's called convective weather because it's the atmosphere's convecting and stuff. That's the technical explanation, at least. And yeah, they give you kind of a categorical analysis of it, like where the weather's most likely to be and where a tornado is most likely to be. And we've got a very small chance of tornadoes here, but I mean, a 2% chance over an area is not that small. That's like there is quite possibly going to be a tornado in that area, and even more so in that area, which is actually pretty much where we're seeing them at. Maybe they're off maybe a little bit on the thing, but I mean that's to be expected because they make these models days in advance, and they modify them as the information progresses. But this was made in advance of today. All right, let me get a refresh on this so I can see how this storm's developing, because this is what's most interesting right here. And I'm also going to try to pull up another camera. Let's see if okay, there's Charlotte Douglas International Airport. They're probably, that camera might be well lit in such a way that we can. Nope, it's just dark. Yeah, digital storm chasing at night has its challenges. If it's during the day, which most of these storms will take place during the day, there's a lot of light. You can kind of see everything. Like the traffic cameras are great, especially the ones that are live, where you can see cars going down in full speed. Because every now and then you'll see some like pretty interesting weather. There was years and years ago in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, there was this massive EF5 tornado that came through. Like, I mean, if you pay attention to tornadoes, you would know about it. It's a big one. So I happened to be watching it, and I popped up a traffic camera and just got like excellent photos of this just giant wedge of a tornado just ripping through the town. That's kind of where I got the idea for this in the first place. Was how cool it was that the technology was available that you can do that. Okay, so this was taken at 9:49 Eastern time. So that's 10 minutes ago. This image is getting a little stale, so I'm gonna refresh that. And yeah, okay. So let me do that thing where I tell people to duck and cover. And it looks like even behind there, that's going to be rough for that area right there, because they just had one come through that went right up through this vicinity. Get rid of these warnings. Oop, try again. Try again. There we go. They just had this one that came through right there. This one's coming through right there, and then this one looks like it's going to come through similarly. Yeah, I'm definitely trying to get some cameras in the area of the red. If you see right, so I can't do a side by side with this current stream view, but the area of the red is going to be right. It's a little hard to tell. Okay, so the red is going to be North Charlotte and west of Charlotte in the area of what looks like Belmont. So this is a camera that's in the red here. Let me see if we can get anything interesting off that camera. Yeah, that's about what I thought. Rain. That's not incredibly interesting, but this one's not bad here. That one you can see something at least. You can see that there's things that exist, some infrastructure. All right. Okay, I can get rid of this one. This one is a little dated. It's not relevant. That's not super relevant right now either, because that's, predictive model. This is a pretty interesting thing that kind of zooms through the future and tells you where you would expect storms would go based on numerical modeling. Again, not relevant for us right now. Really, what we're looking at is just this. This is where it is blowing up. And like I said earlier, down in Lancaster, that area, that does appear to be popping up. So we might actually be able to see something there. Let's see if there's a camera down there. I don't know that there would be because I think that's like a pretty rural area without a ton of like traffic ever. And this website is curated by the North Carolina Department of Transportation. So they don't have any of that at all because that is in South Carolina. These alerts. Okay, that's just construction alerts. That's not anything we really need to worry about. I'm gonna scan through these cameras real quick and see if any of them look like there's any of the images look interesting. Every now and then you can see lightning on them too. That's pretty unusual. Pretty cool. Oh, is it? It shouldn't be. Let's play with it and see. Frozen it is. Well, look at that. You don't need to see my face anyways. Nobody wants to see that. I'll bring it back up in a second if I can get it fixed. That image looks pretty evil there. That's some. There's some dark forces at work in the dark there. It looks like. It almost looks like if you've played Morrowind, it looks like those ash storms that come through and mess with things. I would wager this storm is probably worse than a blight storm though, because these can do actual damage to things. All right. Okay, wow. Yeah, if you zoom in here, which I'm trying to, the zoom feature is not great on this particular website. It seems like you used to be able to actually zoom into the map. If you look, it's not that easy to tell, but you can see a small dot of purple there, and that usually can indicate that the dark, as you see over in this chart here, indicates how strongly the rays from the radar are being reflected back toward the radar dish, and the radar dish is over here. So it's bouncing back a heavy signal right there, which is like east of Spartanburg. That heavy signal means there's going to be more dense things there. Like instead of just light rain, which would be, green or yellow, the red is going to be heavy, heavy clouds that are like very saturated and dumping loads of water. And that purple is probably going to be hail, most likely. So that hail, that's probably the hail core of that storm there. And if we look here, we might even be able to. Sometimes the satellite images can give us stuff there. If you look at the cloud top, you can see that this is the. It's not giving us anything. The visible light satellites don't work as well at night, just for obvious reasons, because they're not getting any of that sunlight. Yeah, that picture looks pretty intense. Yeah, so there should be sometimes what the satellite does here is it'll actually analyze the top of the cloud, and if there's one point that sticks up above the rest of it, it'll kind of colorize it a little bit. I'm reasonably certain that's what this one does. I've taken like quite a few classes on satellite analysis, but that wasn't ever my focus. But yeah, if you look at the visible light satellite view, you can see it kind of disappear as the Earth rotates away from the sun at this side, because these are geostationary satellites that just sit in one spot and like point down at the Earth. So yeah, visible you see nothing. Long wave infrared you should be able to see the clouds coming through. There is useful information there, but it's not relevant to us right at this moment. And really, I would say the cloud top is usually what I would go for here to really isolate the tip of those storms and see where they're doing. What's the time on this? The timestamp on this is 9:49. That was over 10 minutes ago. So yeah, that image is definitely getting a little stale. We'll refresh that, and it should be back. Okay, so that storm just moved right through, and I would say there's very likely a tornado in that. That is. Let me see if I can get in close to it and kind of talk about what indicates that to me. It's hard to tell in this particular radar. Maybe the other one will be a little better for us. Let's see. Let's look at the composite radar here. Okay, let me let it load for a sec, and I'll get to the most recent image. Okay. It's hard to tell, but whenever you get a tornado in a cloud, it actually kind of warps the shape of the cloud a little bit. They call that a hook echo, and I'm sure if you've ever watched the Weather Channel or anything, you're familiar with that. And it's hard to say exactly, but it looks like right there, that might be a little bit of a hook echo, which would indicate that there's probably a tornado right there, which I'm actually quite familiar with that particular area. I've spent a good bit of time around there. I was gonna do this stream tonight, and it just so happens that it's not very far from where I'm at. So if I have to like run and take cover, you'll know why. It'll just be. I'll just leave the radar en route, silence the image, and there will be. Let's see. And I know a couple of people out there that are spotters. I might call them, see if I can get them in a call, and it would be pretty interesting to talk to them to see what exactly what they can see right now. Give me one moment. Again, I'm sending out my warnings. Yeah, I can see. I can always tell where the storms are worse because I've got like this area. I've got a good bit of people. I worked in this area for quite some time years ago, so I've got like a good bit of people around, just like all the way from here to over here and up here that I know. So I can, whenever my phone starts blowing up, depending on what names pop up, I can usually tell where the storm's gonna be relatively intense. If it's anywhere like in the Charlotte area, Spartanburg, or if it's out in like Nashville, Tennessee, or up in New York City or something like that, it's usually where I get, hey, what's the weather doing? I'll say, oh, didn't realize. Yeah, that it does look like it's getting a little dodgy over in Lancaster. So that actually looks like that might be a little subsystem that's coming through. So we'll definitely have to keep an eye on that because that's going to develop into what I would expect will be something that could produce either some severe thunder or severe thunderstorm, or possibly a tornado. I'd say I'm feeling like that's unlikely at this moment, but that's purely me just guessing. So don't take that. Nothing I'm saying here is actual advice. The only advice I would give you is, if you're in a red box, turn off this image, this stream, and watch the weather service or your local news and get like relevant information. I'm just kind of, having fun looking at the weather. But definitely, if you're in any of these areas, then go to your safe spot, as they call it. Oh, I've got people popping in my Discord, so I'll have to silence that real quick. Okay. Yeah, this is definitely the most interesting image we can look at right now. Although I do want to check this one out again because this one, the way it refreshes and the way it kind of, it's just raw data. It looks like it doesn't look like it's been like fixed up to be fancy. A lot of the radar services that you look at do this thing where they like round off the edges. If you lose like a weather app or something like that, you get these really like nice rounded storms with like just dark colors. It's because they really clean up these images with algorithms to make them look better for the user. But in my opinion, I think it actually kind of takes away from the information there to some degree. Because I like the pixels, you can tell individually where they're at. Like you can look really closely there and see what might be the remnants of a hook echo, or might be an active hook echo. And whereas whenever they smooth it out, you really aren't as likely to be able to see that. So this storm coming up through Spartanburg looks like it's getting a little dodgy too. I might try to pop this webcam back on and see if it's behaving. Is it? No, it's not. In fact, it's yeah, I don't know what its problem is, so I'm gonna take it off because I don't want you to just look at a paused picture of me. Alright, so I think no, I don't think I hear the sirens. I suspect that I will be hearing sirens soon. Because these aren't terribly far from where I'm currently sitting. Let's see, what else is there here? That camera there might have something. I'm not too hyped on the cameras right now, just because it is so late at night that... Oh, that one actually looks pretty nice. Let's have a look at that one. Yeah, since it's so dark out. That is I-77 northbound, so that's looking north. That's kind of looking up towards, if I had to guess, I would say that's looking from here, it's looking up towards that. So that's kind of what we see there. If that's... Yeah, it's only a 2-minute old image. I mean, it doesn't show us much, but it's definitely, you know, raining. So there's that. Go back to this one, see if that's developing anymore, which it definitely is. It's getting a little red there. Let's see if the National Weather Service has anything new to say about it. They have definitely issued a new tornado warning right here. So that's interesting. I'm hoping this one will calm down a little bit, just because it'll be hitting an area that like just got it like minutes ago, like just 1, 2, 3. So if this one can weaken a little bit and maybe die down some, that might be a good thing. Well, it would definitely be a good thing. As much fun as these are to watch and look at, it's important to realize that they're people and property and things underneath these little red boxes that are possibly in danger. I wonder if they'll update this any. Sometimes they'll update it live to like kind of adjust with where the actual weather's happening. These are usually pretty spot on. It's incredibly difficult to have a predictive method that can tell exactly where a tornado is going to be. You can just kind of tell over an area where one is probable to be. The weather channel uses something called Torcon, which is where they'll take a big area, like say for instance, let me zoom this out a little bit. They'll say like, okay, so this area here has a Torcon of 4, which means there's a 4% chance of a tornado, or sorry, a 40% chance of a tornado in any given point in this. And I think that's pretty interesting. Interesting way to look at the data. Not that there's very likely to be a tornado in this particular area. That was just an example. Appalachia is not known for its tornadoes, really. Okay, so let me get another one of this, because this is... It's funny how much whenever you see storms and stuff, you just like refresh like crazy. I wonder if there's enough people doing that to be a load on their server. I really don't know. But if that's the case, then I certainly apologize, because I'm guilty of refreshing. Because I mean, they only come out with images like every 8 or so minutes, because it takes time to like actually collect the data from the radar and then process it into an image and then upload it to the internet. But I'm definitely guilty of refreshing it a lot. In between the two places that I'm live, I see there's people. If anybody's like a weather nerd or has any questions or anything, pop them in. As of right this second, the development's not too rapid where I can't look at it. You know what? I do need a stream moderator. So congratulations, J Rob. You're the first stream moderator. Please don't ban people for frivolous reasons, but enjoy your new power. All right. Give me 1 second. I'm spamming out mass text. Yeah, you do have the power. Wield it wisely. I'm spamming folks with the duck and cover. Oh right, okay. Yeah, I'm trying to pay attention to the stream, but I definitely want to prioritize, like, if I can get the message out there to individuals, to do exactly that, because that is the most important thing here. Because we're sitting in the chat, you know, probably tens to hundreds and maybe thousands of miles away from this situation, where we can just, you know, look at it and talk about it. But I definitely want to make people in the zone aware of what's happening, because, you know, people might be asleep right now. It's, you know, 10 p.m. in that area. I mean, you know, it's a Saturday night, so if you're asleep, man, let me know. I have never covered monsoons before. All of my education in weather is mostly summer weather, convective weather, hailstorms. I know a little bit about fire weather and satellite analysis, and I know a good bit about, like, actual storm spotting. And I'm pretty good at the numerical stuff, but yeah, I would like to cover some monsoons. I know so little about them. I almost don't even know what monsoon stands for, or I don't know what it stands for. I almost don't even know what a monsoon means, other than a heck of a lot of rain. I know it's like a seasonal weather pattern, but that would be cool. That would be well cool. I tried to pop this on Facebook Live, like do a co-stream to it. I don't know if it's up or not though. So if there's anybody on Facebook Live, like my third grade science teacher or something, hey there. Okay, let me pull up this radar right quick, and I'm gonna sit there on that. Pop a message in the chat. So just have fun watching this for just a moment. I'm gonna make a few phone calls, and yeah, I will be right back. Okay, and we are back in. Can you hear me? Did I remember to unmute my microphone? I sure did. That's progress for me, honestly. I'm really bad about popping into Discords and not muting my microphone, or not unmuting myself. I'll just be talking to people for like minutes. Let me see if I can fix this webcam while nothing's happening, because I do like to talk with my hands a little bit. Let me actually just make a new webcam view in. OBS. Oh well, there's nothing. I thought you'd maybe be able to see my desktop background, which is a cool little. It's well, it's not that cool. It's actually a really intense image of a hook echo of a major tornado that did a pretty serious amount of damage. Okay. Uh, Video capture device, a webcam perhaps. A Logitech webcam, in fact. Let me just unplug this bad boy and replug it in. See if that does us anything. Would you look at that? It doesn't. Well, it's off, I guess. I guess that's just off for now. We'll have to deal with that. Okay. Let's see here. Has anything developed while I was standing away from the computer? I suspect we've got new radar images. Oh yeah, so okay, so that I said down there is definitely popping up. It's not playing around. That storm looks like it's going to do something. I wonder if the National Weather Service is going to put a warning on it. We might actually have to switch to another, a different radar to look at that. It's getting a little bit out of range for this one here. And there is another radar just over here, as a matter of fact. Which that one's the Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina radar. That one's not going to do us any good. Greer, South Carolina is not that great. Maybe I believe there's one in Columbia, South Carolina as well. Okay, that one might be a little better to view that particular storm. So whenever you look at these big long-range radars like this here, what you're actually looking at is a big mosaic. As a matter of fact, that's even what they call it, is the National Weather Service Enhanced Radar Mosaic Loop, because it's just looping through the information for all these radars. And you can see those big green patches. It looks like rain, and if you only really ever watch weather on the Weather Channel, you won't really see that because they edit all that out. That's just noise on the radar. Whenever it becomes nighttime, the humidity changes. The radar has to adjust to it, so it's actually picking up like just that, you know. So they'll adjust it to and from clean air mode. Yeah, it looks like, so right there, it looks like it's being picked up by this radar. So we might have to keep an eye on that, although this one pretty seamlessly keeps it all together. Let's have a look at the top phase again, because this is an infrared satellite that's giving us this product. I'm thinking what we're looking at here is you can barely see it. You can barely make out the difference. But hold on, something is on the network here, bogging me down a little. Yeah, you can barely make it out. But that light color, you see how there's like a darker grays and lighter colors? I believe the lighter color corresponds to a higher altitude something. So if something is higher up, it's going to be a lighter color. And that's useful because the higher the storm is, the higher that cloud top is, that's generally going to indicate a more powerful storm. Not necessarily, but I would say generally enough to warrant it's okay to say that. Okay. Again, I'm AFK for 1 second. I'm getting a lot more messages, and I'm kind of let people know that it's getting kind of serious out there, and it's actually getting to where I may, in the near future, be leaving this loop on and not being by this window. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and prep that real quick. So here, just have a look at this really nice radar image here. Let me know if anything cool happens on it while I'm away, and I will be back momentarily. All right, I'm back. Okay, so yeah, the Lancaster storm. That's what I'm choosing to call this one over here now. Looks like it's definitely developing into something bigger. And this one here, this third dot here that's coming through this area, following in the footsteps of that one, actually looks like it's getting pretty big. I can't tell. Sometimes whenever you look at the storms, there's things they do that indicate, that they're either strengthening or weakening or something. A lot of times, whenever they kind of start sometimes they'll just fade down in color. As of right now, the National Weather Service has not updated the tornado warning as of 10:22, which is 4 minutes ago. It looks like usually they won't let it run all the way out to the end, because if it gets to the end and they're still expecting a tornado, then people that would be like right on the outside of that would be just out of range of the warning. You don't really want that. You want everybody to be in range of it all the time, if it's relevant to them. So I expect that either they'll update that to extend out, because they're actually getting better numbers than I am, and they have a team of highly competent people looking at all these numbers and like making decisions on whether or not they want to put a warning there. So we'll see if they do that, then we'll know that it's probably not losing that much strength. A lot of times, though, what you'll see is the storm will just go from like this kind of dark red, and it'll start to look more like this, like oranges and things like that. I'm actually looking through YouTube right now to see just what if this stream is where it's at and how to find it, because there's people asking about it that can't access it from Facebook because they're wanting the relevant information. So if anybody in here that has my number could text me a link to this that I could send to somebody, that would be excellent. And I know there's at least one of you that can do that if you're available and can be bothered, because I can't seem to locate it at the moment. If you could pop that to me, that would be lovely. That could cut down on me having to text out so many people for sure. Alright, has this updated yet? I believe we do have an update here. But this is actually what I want an update on. This is most important to me right now. Because there is definitely a big powerful storm here. And I'm not terribly far away from it. Okay, so I see a message that I've received in Discord. Could you possibly send that to me on Facebook, please, so I can just copy and paste that to people? Because I actually don't have the Discord on my phone. If you can be bothered there, my loyal administrator that is just doing an excellent job at keeping the chat clean, keeping everybody from saying outrageous things that is that YouTube chat is known to do, even whenever there are only a small number of viewers. You never know who's gonna pop in and start making it crazy. Let's see here. Okay, this is really what I'm waiting on at the moment, is a new image here. It's been 8 minutes, so it's getting a little stale. What we want to know here is if the National Weather Service is going to extend that warning. And I see that they've extended this one to go out farther. So that means that storm is not expected to weaken at all. And there's some new people that I'm going to need to text, because that's in a new area of folks that I'm concerned about to some degree. They're friends of mine. So let me do that real quick while we wait for this new radar image. Bad weather, mate. Take cover. And here's a link to. Okay, that way, if they feel like they want to pop in here and look and see, hear what I'm saying, which I'm not an expert, I'm just a weather nerd. So if you are in this zone, I would recommend turning this off and watching an actual expert on TV. However, I don't even have the Weather Channel myself. I don't even have local news. I have nothing except Netflix, Hulu, and YouTube. LOL. Okay. Okay, let me refresh this one again, and I certainly apologize to the people that are, maintaining this. Let me Give me just a moment. Let me see how in danger I am right now. I'm gonna pop this up on a different one because I don't necessarily want to broadcast out to YouTube the exact address I'm sitting at, which I'm not actually even at home. I'm elsewhere right now, so if the internet connection's a little dodgy, that could be why. Hmm. Yeah. 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 I'm a little concerned. A little concerned. Ordinarily, I don't have to. Whenever I do weather streams, I don't usually have to worry so much about, you know, actually hiding from it myself. But hopefully the power will stay on. We can keep talking about it, and this will keep giving us good information. Yeah, I see that Charlotte, they've definitely extended that one as well. So if I had the radio on, we would definitely be hearing lots and lots of alerts. Lots and lots of alerts. Let me see if I can disable some things on the Wi-Fi here, because I noticed the internet's getting a little bogged down. Oh, and look at that. I just got an alert for tornado warning in my immediate vicinity. So if I had to guess, I'm going to say they've expanded this one out just now. Or it will as soon as the website updates. Because, yeah, that's probably what's happened. My phone is giving me the duck and cover alert. However, I'm going to not do that right now, so I can keep talking about this weather. Because I know that there's some people tuning in here and on another spot that I'm broadcasting it to that I think it's going to, that may be curious about this. So if you live in Clover, or Rock Hill, or South Charlotte, or anywhere in the Charlotte area at all, I would definitely recommend keeping a close eye on the weather and maybe consider getting to your spot where you'd want to be and turning this off and listening to actual experts. Not just nerds. All right, they've got to give me a new image here, man. I'm jonesing for it real hard. I'm jonesing for it. I need it. It's got to happen. And again, if anybody's has any questions about general weather nerd stuff that I might know the answer to, or might want to ramble about, or might want to look on, I might want to Google and pretend like I know what I'm talking about, feel free to pop it in the chat. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one here. I like when this happens. The warnings and stuff have loaded, but the actual radar has not, and that's just a little internet. Oh, okay. That's not great news. Radar status message in the link above right. I'll need to see that. This usually alarms me a good bit. No, none issued by this office recently. That okay. Well, now I'm a little more concerned for myself, simply because now I'm a little bit blinded to what's actually happening as far as the exact location of the storm, because the radar is out. Yeah, so that could happen for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes they just go down and they don't get an image, like they'll miss a single image or something. It could also be that it might have a lot of people looking at it, and it's like the actual upload service, like the server that maintains the image, might have gotten sort of DDoSed a little bit. You know, like a lot of people refreshing it and looking at it can bog it down a little bit. That could be what happened. I don't know exactly what causes that particular thing, but I'm gonna keep refreshing it. Hopefully, we can get some. Also, sometimes the weather or the radar can actually get knocked out by bad weather. It can get blinded by really bad weather getting right on top of it and just kind of bogging out what it can see. Although it'll still give you stuff there, but that it can get its power knocked out too. I don't know what sort of redundancies they have to prevent that from happening, but I'm sure it's something. Okay, so I need to sort out my own situation here because it's getting alarmingly close to where I'm posted up right now, and I'm not able to see where it's at exactly. So let me pop out for 1 minute. Let me have a look at the sky and see if I'm in any immediate danger. And if not, I'll come back. And if the stream, sits here with me being silent for the next 30 minutes, then, well, I don't know. Good luck to everybody. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'll let you watch this nice little stream instead of that alarming red message on black background. I'll let you have a look at this nice little loop here. Well, I mean, it's a little windy outside. Nothing insane is happening. Um, oh, webcam's still down. Look at that. I'd love to get that back up and running if possible. But yeah, I mean, as always, just what I'm doing right now. Whenever there's a storm like this, what you want to do is just be very mindful of the situation. It can rapidly changing weather patterns outside can indicate that like something serious is happening, and you really don't want to be caught flat-footed if if there's a dangerous storm coming at you. Hey, look at that, our radar's back. And the National Weather Service on this, which could be due to the radar being whacked for a sec there, has not updated particular uh, this particular warning. That red box has not expanded. I expect it really has. But it just hasn't. That information has not got to this server just yet. But I can't be quite certain about that, just because I can't see it. I heard it on a weather app, but weather apps, and which I don't know if anybody in here would have, but if you've seen any of my other uh, streams related to this sort of thing, you'll know that I'm not the biggest fan of weather apps. I don't love them. I think that some of them give bad information. Some of them can be a little, I wouldn't say alarmist. I'd say, oh, and there it is. There it is. It has been updated. That tornado warning now envelops Rock Hill, Antigua Cay, Fort Mill. I'm looking at a map over here to kind of get the names of these places. Dixie Berry Hill. I don't know what that is. Lake Wylie, India Hook, Newport. Those are the places that have just been added to that new warning. So if you're there, heads up, heads up. I'm thinking. I can't think anything about that right now. I can't say. I don't know. Okay. So I can see there's lines that are being pushed out from the storm there. It's kind of funny. I remember sitting in a meteorology class and hearing from a professor the importance of just little things on the radar like that, like those pressure waves being pushed out and things like that. And to be quite honest, I don't remember what that indicates in like an actual severe weather situation. So see, it always helps to pay attention in class. Not that it matters. That's just sort of predictive stuff, and it's actually not even showing up on this. It might be like a really faint line that's getting drowned out by the other noise on the radar, which is all this green noise. So that's the local region, which really I've been browsing around the country right now. I don't see anything else that's particularly exciting. Um, Here in where are we at here? Charleston, West Virginia. There's going to be rain there. I've I've lived in that area. I don't imagine this likely that there's going to be a tornado anywhere near that. It's not known for its convective. Well, it's not known for tornadoes. It definitely gets hailstorms and things like that. The Midwest, the Upper Mississippi Valley sector. It looks like there's some patchy rain. It's a little late at night there. It's probably 9, 10 o'clock. Hopefully it's cooled off a little bit. And won't be too serious there, but it doesn't look very serious. And in Clover, South Carolina, which is right there, any rotation there? Yes, I would say yes, definitely rotation in Clover, South Carolina. That big red box there is indicating that the National Weather Service, based on the Doppler radar information, has indicated that this system is rotating. And Clover is about right there, I believe, which this is slightly stale imagery. But yeah, I would say that if you're in Clover, South Carolina, now would be a good time to duck and cover, at least for a moment, just to keep yourself safe. Pop on the opinion of a real expert. Also, Rock Hill, it does look, if I had to guess, possibly like a hook echo could be developing here in the southwestern corner of this storm, and that's typical. It's actually quite typical that the hook echo, where the tornado's at, will be in the southwestern portion of the storm. It's headed, east, northeast. That's quite typical. So a lot of times you'd be better off being up in the northern portion, where you're just gonna have heavy rain, possibly some hail, depending on which way it gets blown. But the southwest portion is quite often where the rotation is going to take place. And there's a whole lot of reasons for that I don't need to cover right now because there is a tornado outside, and that's important. Okay, so we've got an updated image. See, they haven't actually discontinued this last warning hasn't expired yet, so but it looks like that's all clear. Yeah, I would say there's definitely an echo, a hook here, and it looks to be headed towards Rock Hill, South Carolina. Rock Hill, South Carolina is where that's headed. So, anybody that's at Winthrop University or the immediate area around that, I would recommend being very mindful of what's going on here. Let me find my information here. Let's see here. Let's see if I can get us up a good image of a map. Have something to look at. Yeah, this storm is becoming particularly alarming to me personally at the moment. I actually attend Winthrop University and am quite nearby it. I don't hear the sirens going off at the moment, so I'll be definitely mindful of that. I've also got headphones on, so I might not be able to hear it quite so well, but I'm paying attention, I'm keeping up, and if I disappear for a moment, I'm gonna play, might just play some non-copyrighted music. And that'll be what I'll do. Yeah, I'll play a YouTube stream of non-copyrighted music. That's what I'll do. If anybody has a link to one of those, that'd be fantastic. Because I can't find it for some reason. Okay, so let's have a look at this storm up here. I see that the one going through Charlotte actually appears to be weakening, seeing as they have not updated that particular warning into another tornado warning headed out to the northeast, but they have maintained it as a severe thunderstorm warning, which means, possible hail, maybe 60-mile-an-hour wind speeds, maybe a little higher. Definitely thunder and lightning, which, that's something to be mindful of. I know a lot of people don't seem to care too much about thunder and lightning as severe weather, but it is. It can knock down trees, it can damage property, it can definitely hit you if you're out and about in it. So, people like to talk about lightning as though it's this incredibly rare thing that happens, which it is, but, so is getting bit by a shark, so is flipping a coin 10 times in a row and it getting heads 10 times in a row. Or 0 times in a row. Those are very unlikely things that happen all the time. Okay, so yes, that one appears to be weakening. That's a good sign for anybody in the west. I hear some noise. Hold on a second. Oh, never mind. False alarm. That was just some music playing through headphones across the room. Oh, let's see. I would love to get a new image here because this next image will tell me if I'm going to run and hide or if I'm going to continue streaming to the internet talking about weather. So pardon me for the frequent interruptions at this point, but there's definitely big weather just outside. Okay, let's see here. Okay. I'm trying to find my exact location to determine if I'm in any immediate danger based on this storm. It's a quick moving storm, so you gotta be pretty mindful of that. Okay, Hook Echo. If it's anywhere, I would imagine it's just up past us, hopefully. That being said, to anybody that's in that immediate vicinity, watch out. Watch out. And that immediate vicinity will be as follows. Well, where did it go? I've lost it. North Carolina Department of Transportation. It'd be India Hook, Fort Mill, TKK, Rock Hill, Newport, the Ballantyne area, at Pineville, and Providence. Hopefully the storm will weaken significantly before it gets out that far to you, but that's not incredibly far away, being only right there. So be mindful. And I know that it's definitely possible that somebody in here could be watching from there. Okay. So we've got a 1040 there, a 1040 image. It's 1048 now. A new image will be due any moment. I would not expect it just yet. It can take a little bit of time, especially when people in the local area are probably refreshing like mad folks, like I most certainly am. So let's have a look at this lovely image here. Big fan of this image. Big fan of this radar. Ooh, I can hear the thunder. That's the first bit of thunder I've been able to hear. Which, you know, that's definitely a warning sign for rapidly evolving weather conditions. I'm trying to see. So it looks like the storm as a whole is moving northeast, but this particular fella right here seems to have a more easterly than the other two. They seem to be pushing up north a little bit more than this one is. This one seems to be barreling either closer to dead east or perhaps north a little bit, and it's just expanding out to the south. It's hard to tell with this radar. There's definitely better radar software out there. There's actually really good radar software that can literally dissect the storms and give you excellent analysis of exactly where they're at. And there's a good chance the power goes out here. So if that happens, good night everybody, and you know, be safe and be careful. And stay tuned for additional streams now that the weather is getting back to a place where this is something viable to do. I've actually made this channel specifically for that purpose. I've streamed before on other channels, which were mostly for gaming, and you know, got a little bit of views here and there, but I'm gonna, you know, probably do it more seriously on a specialized YouTube channel, which this is it. Here we are. Like and subscribe, get the bell on, folks. Ding ding. You don't have to get the bell on. It's not that important. You'll know when to watch. Are there storms coming through later, or is this the last storm? That is a good question. Let me have a look here. If I had to guess, just based on what I'm looking at now, this could likely be the last one, but you can never really tell. A lot of times what'll happen is whenever this first, and this isn't like a true fact all the time, this is subject to change all the time, but a lot of times what'll happen with these storms, depending on the type of storm it is, as they come through, that atmospheric instability that I talked about earlier is going to get equalized. The hot air that's on the bottom near the surface will actually be up top, and the cold air will be on the ground, and that's where you want it to be, because you know hot air is going to rise, and rising air can cause rotation and cause storms. So as you know the hot air rises and it kind of bounces out, it'll kind of tend to equalize, which is why a lot of times you'll have a major severe storm and then just quiet calm for a while after that. But you never know. Sometimes there's still a little bit of still a little bit of chaos that has to get shaken out of the atmosphere, which is essentially what we're watching here. Is the atmosphere becoming, I guess, somewhat less chaotic. It's expending some of its potential energy in the form of rotation and convection and thunder and lightning and, you know, all those things that make Thor happy and that make us, you know, also happy, sometimes scared, sometimes wet, especially if you go outside. Alright, if I had a webcam on, you would see me staring, mouth agape, nearly drooling at this radar image, just eagerly anticipating another image to come out. Here we go, let's go for a refresh, let's see what we can get. Okay, so this radar image tells me that I will be right back in just a moment because, as Milhouse once said, I'm in danger. So, one moment, I'll be right back, folks. Stay tuned. Have a look at this much more lovely image here that's going to automatically refresh itself, and I'll be back within 30 seconds, most likely. All right, look at all the loyal viewers. My count hasn't dropped to my knowledge at all. Look at that. And I'm actually not even stuffing this chat with my own accounts, which I've done before. You know, I'm not doing that at all. A big 4 is actually somewhat surprising for just the niche level of how nerdy this content is. And everybody likes weather, right? So what I'm doing right now, currently, in the position of a weather nerd that's in danger of potentially being in a severe weather situation, is listen. It's nighttime. You can't really see much. Depending on, you know, just where you live, what kind of lighting it has, what kind of tree coverage you have around you really can't see much. So don't expect to see a tornado coming and being like, oh look, I'll just get out of the way. That's not a viable solution that's going to make you safe. But you want to listen and listen for the sound of a freight train, something that sounds kind of like a semi truck that's going to drive really close by you. Just that sort of loud, like sort of thunderous sound. A semi truck, a freight train, things like that. Sometimes you'll hear whistling of the wind. You'll see trees bending. There's really good guides online you can see that'll show you kind of estimate what the wind speed looks like, which this isn't extremely relevant to a tornado. But yeah, weather.gov has the a wind speed estimator. You know, if it's over 25 to 30 miles an hour, you'll see large branches in motion. You'll hear whistling and telephone wires, umbrellas will be really hard to hold on to. Whenever you get up to like 45-mile-an-hour winds, twigs will start breaking off trees. Mobile homes might start shaking. It's going to be hard to move around in it. Then whenever you get into like 60-mile-an-hour winds, which is probably what we're looking at here, at least for the yellow areas, the red areas could certainly have, you know, violent storm level winds. But, you know, in the 60-mile-an-hour range, you're going to be looking at small trees could be uprooted, roof damage. You're going to see maybe signs get blown down. And then in tornado speeds, you're looking at like big trees getting uprooted, significant damage to like homes, anything like that. All right, let's see. Can we get a new update on this because it's getting to my potential area for duck and cover. I would love another update though. That would be cool. If this thing could just slip by me and I could keep talking, that'd be great. Now that I've said that about about the trucks and trains and things like that. Every time a truck goes by, I'm relatively close to a busy road. I can hear like big trucks go by, and it's kind of alarming. You kind of jump a little bit about it. Yeah, I'm actually looking out the window now, and like it's just dark. Nothing really to see. Sometimes you can see when the trees start acting up. The trees will start wilding out a little bit, and that's when you know that it's possibly about to get real. All right, let's see. Let's see here. See if we get any updates on this storm. It has now began heavy, heavy rain outside. I see streetlights flickering. Oh, that's good. But here I remain. Everything's okay. I'd love to get another update on this image here. Usually whenever you have people that are weather nerds and they're like, storm chasing, they can be out and about and mobile and moving around and checking these things out. I'm just kind of like stuck in the house, on a desktop PC, looking at it here with you lovely folks, and a radar that just won't refresh as often as I want it to. All right, see, that was 10:49. It is now 10:58. So I'm due an image anytime now, Weather Service. If you could deliver that to me, that would just be something I would appreciate greatly. But we'll keep looking at this one. Let's have a look and see if we can see anything in that top level cloud satellite product. Okay, I'm getting reports from people that can see it that the wind is blowing quite hard. Let me take a look. You can continue looking at the composite radar here. And I apologize for the interruptions, but it is a matter of safety. I am quite close to one of these storms here, so be right back in one moment. All right, so I wouldn't say that was a false alarm, but it's raining outside for me right now. It's raining. There's mild, maybe 5 mile an hour wind. Something to be mindful of because the difference between, like, if you look here, let me show you an example. If you look very closely at this radar, you see how right where my cursor is pointing is an area of light blue, which means absolutely nothing. Or I'll say right here, which it's a little bit obscured by that line. I can actually take that line away. If you look right here, you have somebody that's potentially in the path of a dangerous tornado in this exact spot where my cursor's at. I'll say they're right there. They're experiencing nothing. Maybe very light rain, maybe very mild wind. However, based on the speed of these storms, they're only moments away from possibly being like, imagine that was actually a tornado. They're minutes to seconds away from being in that situation where only experiencing extremely light weather at the time. That's why it's very important to be mindful of these things coming, because you don't always have warning. Now, if you're sitting in your house and things start flying around outside and your trash bin rolls away and you can hear that and you hear trees falling, you could probably get to safety. But what if you're outside doing lawn work? What if you're outside, or at night with your friends listening to music or something, and suddenly this pops up? You might catch yourself flat-footed. Or if you're out driving around, you certainly don't want to be driving, because a tornado can certainly take a vehicle off of its wheels, most definitely. And even if you feel safe in a vehicle, because people do feel safe in a vehicle. That's why whenever somebody annoys you on the highway, you feel perfectly safe. Throwing them a finger, honking the horn at them, or doing all kinds of crazy things that people do, because you feel safe there. But it's not. Remember, like a vehicle very much can turn into a projectile in high wind, so it's very important to be aware of these things ahead of time. And very, very importantly, it's not that the wind blows; it's what the wind blows. It's not that the wind is blowing you down and it's going to tear you apart and rip your clothes off, which it very well could. What happens to Hank Hill in that episode of King of the Hill where he encounters the tornado and has his clothes ripped off of him is pretty typical for people that get caught in a tornado. However, it's not typical that he survived. Because it's not that the wind blows, it's what the wind blows. There's little pieces of splinters of wood, like toothpicks, that get turned into crossbow bolts, and, you know, all kinds of things are getting picked up by these storms and getting tossed around. Having to look out the window, seeing if I need to take my own advice. As of right now, I think I'm good. I think, actually, I'm willing to call it at this point for, let me look at my map here, for Clover and York, South Carolina. I think you folks are probably looking pretty good right now. Clover, York, possibly even Newport. I can't tell exactly, so, you know, still be mindful. I think the bulk of the storm's over Lake Wiley and is passing over Rock Hill right now. So really, who wants to watch out is going to be anybody in the south and southeast or southwest Charlotte. Really, anything in the lower portion of Charlotte, or even the middle portion of Charlotte. Definitely be mindful, because this storm here that I'm looking at out the window is headed your way. And the National Weather Service has found it in their infinite wisdom to put a tornado warning on it, which is something you should take very seriously. This is not a tornado watch, this is a tornado warning. A tornado watch will generally cover a large area, like possibly the size of everything you see on the screen here, and that'll say conditions are favorable for a tornado to form in this location. It is quite possible that one could. No guarantees. A tornado warning means one of a few things. It means there is a tornado on the ground that has been seen by a trained storm spotter, or the Doppler radar has indicated that the conditions in the upper level of that storm indicate the possibility that there could be a tornado. And it's not like a small possibility, it's a fairly strong possibility. If you ever find yourself in a red box on a map, you know, definitely take that seriously. So I'm going to say, yeah, everything behind the storm is in the good right now. I cannot guarantee that nothing's going to develop behind it. I can take a look at the numerical models momentarily. I want to get another radar image here. I'm feeling like I'm pretty safe right now. So far. I think what I got was a rain tail of this thing, and I think it just spooked me a little bit, because sometimes a little bit of rain can look pretty serious. But it looks like the actual meat of that storm went through the Clover area and is headed into South Charlotte, the Steel Creek area now. It's crossed over the river. There's actually a river that makes up that border there for all those non-locals out there that have never lived in that particular area. And it's headed into Charlotte. Luckily, many of the people that live there are going to be in, you know, high-rise apartments and pretty substantial structures. And to that comment, that's good, my area is clear. Thanks for the info. Yeah, absolutely, anytime. Anytime. And if anybody, you know, has any questions or wants to know anything, or even just general questions about weather, feel free to hit me up and let me know. Post them in the comments in the video. I'll make a video. If anybody wants to see anything, just comment it. I'll make it. And it's quarantine, man. It's quarantine season, and it's weather season. So, if you're a weather nerd and you want some serious, in-depth weather content, holla at your boy. I can make it happen. Okay, let me see. Where's our next area of attack here? What's happening next? Okay, so that tornado warning has expired. That's a really good sign for folks in Charlotte. The ones that I just told to watch out. So yeah, still be mindful. Still be mindful. The weather service can make mistakes too. You know, those red boxes don't always show a tornado. There's a small percentage of tornadoes that happen outside of the red box, and that's very serious, because that means that people weren't alerted. The sirens probably didn't go off, and your cell phone didn't do that obnoxious thing where you're like, oh crap, who commented on my Facebook? And then it turns out it's a flippin' tornado. That, you know, so be mindful. Tornadoes can still happen in a severe thunderstorm range, which is what's indicated by this yellow box as a severe thunderstorm, which means, you know, it likely has the possibility of 60-mile-an-hour winds, possible hail, probable thunder and lightning, maybe nothing. The yellow box isn't quite as much to worry about as the red box. The red box is quite serious. So let's see. It actually looks like these storms are weakening, and I'm really glad to report that. It means that I'm probably going to have nothing to talk about, but I'm definitely glad for all the people that have, you know, family and property ahead of this. Let's see. So Albemarle. That's where we're headed now. Albemarle, North Carolina. I know very little about that particular spot, except for they're about to get wet. Or they probably already are wet, because it is already raining there. But maybe they're gonna have their rubbish bin tossed down the road in a loud, obnoxious manner. I don't know. Are people having the recycling and the bins out by the street on Saturday night? Probably not. I don't think there's a lot of bin pickup that comes on Sundays. But we're gonna have a look at this for just a moment. I'm probably gonna call it soon because I don't feel extremely that it's extremely necessary for me to cover severe thunderstorms because I would be on here 24/7 talking about severe thunderstorms. As they are everywhere all the time, all over the place. So I'm gonna have a look at this little Charlotte tornado, which I suspect, based on what I'm looking at. Let me look at this one. This radar here image, the way it's just so smooth and the way it works, can actually get a little bit more information about sometimes the development of a storm and if it's weakening, just based on little radar signatures that it'll do. And that other storm that I was talking about earlier, I think I was calling it the Lancaster storm. That one definitely seems to be weakening. So I mean, I'm happy to report we can probably kick this stream soon. And this was just kind of a test stream for a new setup. I'll have the webcam working, and I'll actually next time I'm going to be better prepared. I was not expecting this storm to be what it was at this time, so I'll definitely have webcams up. I'll look ahead of time and see if I can get some traffic cams that will give us a live feed. And maybe if it happens during the day, we can actually see these storms in person. Like just like the storm chasers do. There are thousands and thousands of public access webcams out there and traffic cams and wildlife cams that you can access from your computer. And I can pull those up and we can, have a look at them. And we can, actually see what it's looking like on the ground. And that's where it gets really fun. This is kind of a surprise storm. I had a lot of folks asking me in the local area for information on it. So I figured I would just text out a link. Anybody that wants information, they can find it here. And I'll have a little bit of fun. We can talk about some weather. But if this red square goes away, I think that's probably when I'll feel comfortable saying that this storm has ran its course largely, as far as the severe, dangerous, twisty, big dark mass that reaches down from the sky and says, you know what, screw this thing in particular. As far as those are concerned, I think that'll be it for that. So severe thunderstorms. Let me. How old is this radar image? So I've got an 11:07 p.m. radar image. It is 11:09. Okay, so that's pretty up to date. I'm not gonna hound the National Weather Service Greer Spartanburg radar for another image just yet because I feel good with that. Let's have a look back at this one. Let's look, and here's another thing you're gonna want to look at, because a lot of times what you want to do is, I'm talking here like this thing is wrapping up, and I'm assuming that. I do think that. However, if you look back here, you've got other things happening. There's little wisps of yellow and wisps of red that are popping up, and those could always develop into something more serious. You never know. I mean, you can tell by looking at numerical models. Whenever you look at things like let me see if I can get a modern one. Let me see if I can find what I'm looking for here is a skew T diagram of the atmospheric thermodynamics, which that's a lot of word, a whole lot of words there. But I want a relevant one. Let's see. Okay, so what's it looking like over here? What time is this? It's gonna give it to me in Zulu time. Well, that's okay. We can figure it out. Yeah. See, this is what you'd expect, and I'm not looking at it very closely right now. I'm not. So don't freaking at me if you're looking at the time and sitting there and calculating it out and figuring out if this is the exact one for right now or not, because it doesn't matter. It'll still demonstrate my point. That red line represents the temperature as you raise yourself higher and higher into the atmosphere. You can see it cools off and cools off and cools off, and then it really stops being relevant to us a little bit up high. So that being an air parcel floating up into the sky, like a hypothetical air parcel, is going to keep floating until it hits that red line. Now, as the storm cools off the atmosphere and cools off everything, those red lines, or those two lines are going to get closer and closer to each other, meaning you're really losing that little area in between them, meaning you really lose the available energy to produce a tornado. Now, there's still some area in there, and that area is called, I talked about it earlier, but some folks probably weren't here for that. What that area is called is CAPE, which stands for Convective Available Potential Energy. CAPE. It's big. It's a lot of nerd content here. What that CAPE represents, kind of in an abstract way, is how much atmospheric instability there is. Whenever you have cold air up higher and warm air down lower, what's going to happen is there's going to be a tendency for that warm air to rise, which everybody knows that warm air goes up and cold air goes down, generally speaking. And what that has to do is with the density. Cold air is going to be a little bit more compact, a little bit more dense. There's also atmospheric pressure that comes into this as well, but that's kind of more complex. As that hot air tends to rise, it's going to make storms. So whenever you have that CAPE is sort of an abstract numerical way to quantify, kind of, in a way, sort of, what it looks like when severe weather is possible. And actually, since let me see if we got another radar image. And while that's loading, I'm going to show you something I think is pretty interesting. Like, this is what the CAPE looks like now. And there's not a lot of area there. It's not a lot. As you can see, the potential hazard type still shows a tornado. The hodograph here, what that's showing is the direction of wind at given altitudes. So, and what you call that is wind shear. Whenever you have wind going one direction, like at this level, it's going like far this way, and at this level, it's going this way. What you get there is rotation. So, wind shear is another very important thing when calculating the possibility of tornadoes. But I want to show you, for anybody that cares, while this is loading. And I'd really love to know if they're going to cancel that tornado right there, because it does look like they are. Seeing as the red there has moved out of that zone, what that means is they have not felt it necessary to reopen another big red square there to warn people of Albemarle. They're just kind of letting that one expire, which that's a really good sign. That is a really, really good sign that maybe the National Weather Service has reason to believe that that storm is weakening. And what I'm trying to show you here is the sounding. That's what this big, super complex looking thing is called, is the sounding. Is, if you're aware, there was a tornado that took place in Joplin, Missouri years ago, and it was an EF5. It was actually May 22nd, 2011. And it was an EF5 tornado that just tore through that town. I mean, it just left almost nothing behind. Where in its exact path. It was very serious. Talking like buildings were stripped to their foundation. You couldn't even find pieces of furniture. It was a blender. It was a very violent tornado. But anyway, I want to look and see what the actual sounding looked like in preparation for that tornado. If I can find it. Or if I can find one that can be talked about. There are some, but they're a little bit more technical than I'd want, because I'd have to draw some lines, and I don't have the capability right now, because this stream was very much impromptu. Or maybe I'll make a video about that another time. But let's have a look and see where we're at now, because I think that unless anybody in the chat has any particular concerns, because I don't know how many of you are people that just found this or people that I've texted it to, if you have any questions or have any concerns about where you are, you can give me your location. Or just give me a general location that you're concerned about for whatever reason. You don't have to dox yourself live in YouTube chat. And I will tell you what I think about it. But, again, for the billionth time, if you feel like you're in any danger, or if there's a red box around your area, please consult the experts on the Weather Channel or your local news. Not this guy wearing a really cool hat that unfortunately nobody can see because my webcam is jank, talking about it on the internet. So I'm going to give that a second for anybody to consider that possibility. We're going to have a couple more looks at this radar, and after that, folks, we might just be able to call this a night. I can't say a night well done because I really don't have any information on what happened out there. You know, if you look at this, over the last few hours, we've had, oh geez, I mean, that's been tornado warning there, there. Like, oh, hold on. Let me stop you. Okay. Nope. Stop. Quit running away, bro. Come back. There we go. Yeah, if you look, I mean, we had tornado warnings here, here. And then as it progressed, those tornado warnings moved. So this particular area here, which is the Gaston County area, that had quite a bit of action tonight. So it's definitely premature to say that this is a lucky night well done because, I mean, you don't know. We don't know what's happened. I'm going to hope that, it was really nothing. That'd be great. I think that's something that a lot of weather nerds and weather people would like to report is that, they were wrong. The models came up and it wasn't really all that bad. But yeah, okay, so what's going on here? You'll see that you could very much be in this red box here. And it's probably not even raining outside. That's because what they do is they actually, I believe they set these on timers. And the red box goes away on a timer. I'm sure they can manually remove them, but they're probably just letting it expire on its own. So that storm's moved out and they have not updated that yet. So on that note, I am going to say this immediate area, the overall severe threat at this particular second might not be extremely high. I'm not going to tell you it's gone. I would never say that because I couldn't possibly know that. Nobody could possibly know that. Well, I guess you could know that. So let's have a quick look around the country, see if anything's going on here. No, nothing there. Let's have a look down here. Looks like some little bit of rain blowing in off the ocean. I think the main event tonight was right here. And that really, really is backed up by what the Storm Prediction Center has said about it, putting our tornado risk right in this vicinity, which is pretty much spot on for where it was at. So let's have a look at the convective outlook for tomorrow. Tomorrow is Sunday. This will be for tomorrow. It looks like there's not a ton of concern for severe weather. Yeah, I mean the tornadoes index is like not even really talking about it. So maybe tomorrow, if something pops off, we'll get back on here and talk about it. Or if anybody has any questions about anything and they want to just talk about that, or if there's just some weather nerds that want to just talk about weather, pop a comment and I'll check them out. And we'll do that. I'm gonna refresh this one more time, and as this is refreshing, I'm going to say, hey, thanks for popping in. I hope you got the information you were looking for, or maybe laughed at the rate at which my voice has changed over these years and over these minutes to be increasingly raspy and a little bit worn out from rambling for 1 hour and 38 minutes about stuff happening in the sky. So yeah, I'm gonna say, have a good night, folks. Thanks for popping in. Be safe, be mindful. Just because I'm hopping off here does not mean that the threat is over. Does not mean that no more tornadoes and severe weather will come through. So be mindful, keep an eye on the weather, and have an excellent night.